I asked to meet with you for obvious reasons. The crisis that has engulfed our country has led us to declare a public health emergency. It's gone further forward to elicit from the President some unprecedented measures that we have never seen in normal times in Ghana. It's led to the lockdown of our two major cities, restrictions on entries into our country, the banning of public activities, conferences, workshops, public gatherings of any size. It's even gone to the extent of closing down, metaphorically speaking, closing down churches and mosques. So we're talking about an emergency of very great breadth and import. And it's a public health emergency, essentially. It has dramatic consequences for the social and economic life of our country, because all of these measures, at the end of the day, also affect the way people live and their livelihood and clothe and feed their families. At the heart of it are you, our doctors. I think that at all times you are very relevant to the life of the society, but never more so than where we are today. If you step up to the plate and show the people of Ghana your commitment to their welfare, it'll make all the difference to our capacity to deal with this pandemic. I know the difficulties that you have, difficulties that have to do with the fact that our economy basically is not as strong as it should have been after 60 years of independence. So all the things that should have been readily available to be able to cushion your lives and make it possible for you to work without thinking too much about bread and butter issues have still not been dealt with. We're trying. It's not going to be easy, but efforts have started. In the midst of all of this has come this situation. The question is going to be asked one day, hopefully, when it's over and others have come to take our place, they'll ask, where were you in the heart of this crisis? I want to be able to say that you were very present and that you were very prepared and able to step forward and help the people. It's at the heart of your oath as doctors, helping and tending to the welfare and health of people. So I don't think that there's come a time when the Hippocratic Oath will be more in need of support and enforcement than it is today. So I called you here just to encourage you, to tell you, first of all, to thank you for the efforts that you have all been making up to now, and then to encourage you to do more for us. On my part, on the part of government, we will continue to see what we can do to meet you halfway and ease the issues that you have. I think you heard my broadcast the other day. I indicated the measures that we want to put in place to support you in the work that you're doing. Some of them have started rolling out. Buses for nurses and the health workers have started applying the streets of Accra. The allowances that are going to be paid to health workers are being worked out by the finance minister, and very soon, in the course of this month, the first payments are going to be made. The daily allowances that are going to the contact tracers and all those things are being done. But above all, these are money matters. I don't deny their importance. But above all, in a crisis of this nature, it is our spirit, our morale, our commitment to our country, to our society, that will determine the success or otherwise of our ability to confront this menace. There are things that have to be worked out between you and the Ministry of Health. One of them I know is this expression, frontline workers, health workers. I'm aware that it is causing considerable amount of I don't know whether the word is disturbance, but at least controversy and discussions amongst you. Some effort is being made on the part of the government to arrive at an acceptable definition. But I think your input would be very, 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 very necessary and required so that we get a definition that makes sense for everybody and which addresses the issue of people who are also in the front line, as it were, of dealing with this disease. In the medical system, it's always very difficult to distinguish because there are so many stages in the whole process of treating and addressing the concerns of patients. But some effort is being made to make the definition. And I'm sure that your views will be sought. If they haven't, will be sought in the policy that is in the process of being defined. I think that if at the end of this crisis, the consequence of it is that we have a stronger public health system in Ghana, it is to the good of all of us. And that should be one of our goals, that out of this, confronting and dealing with this pandemic, we will have a public health system that can really serve the needs of 21st century Ghana. And that has to be a major objective of all the things that we're doing.
Mr. President, we first and foremost like to thank you, in fact, on behalf of my executive committee, on my own personal behalf, I would like to say a big thank you for all the bold decisions that you've taken throughout this COVID-19 era, i.e., the lockdown, closure of our borders, and some other things, particularly the incentive package that you've given to health workers, and the recognition of our work. When you are working and the President of the nation recognizes the work that you are doing, it is very, very encouraging. And I must tell you, we have resolved that we'll carry on this fight no matter what it takes. We know some of us may be taken away by COVID, but that is not going to let us down. And we'll continue to mobilize all the health workers and fight to the end of this COVID-19. There are a few things that we may have to say. However, it's the PPEs, the distribution of the PPEs. There are instances when you may go and find that a facility has no PPEs. Meanwhile, another facility has more PPEs. Or you go to the district office and maybe those in the offices have PPEs there and those on the ground do not have the PPEs. And we'll ask that is taken into consideration. I was really thrilled when the President announced that we are going to go into local production. And I was surprised that media men and all that never took it up. For me, that is the day that I'll be so much happy. It will gladden my heart if we produce our PPEs. I must say that what is confronting us now is not the end. The literature shows, and evidence also shows, that almost every 5 years, a similar thing, a pandemic, will come. So why don't we get prepared before it comes? And I'm sure as GMA will be very, very happy if the President of the nation links up with the plastic industries so that we get our own aprons, we get our own overalls, we get our own goggles, the shield, and all that. We'll be very, very grateful. And that would mean that we have started the preparation for the next pandemic. In fact, COVID-19 has come to expose the whole world. I'm sure the world will not be the same. The world will change after COVID-19. I must say, before I sit down, that, Mr. President, we are so grateful. We are so grateful for the bold decisions that you've taken. Probably we were advocating for a national lockdown, but you did it in a way that we turned around to support you. Now, I must say that this is not a time for us to be talking about things that were not done Now we are confronted with the COVID-19. How to contain it moving forward is why we are here. And I hope as the discussion goes on, some of these issues will crop up. But having said that, we thank you once again, and we promise that we are going to support you, offer all the support, so that together we can contain this COVID-19. Thank you.